In this video, we're going to implement rendering all the users which are approved users of the group. We're going to also create a separate tab in which we're going to render all pending users which request to join to a group, but they are not approved or rejected yet. We're going to also implement so that admin users can approve or reject the status of those users. Now, let's comment everything. And I'm going to call this all the previous changes, what we made so far. And I'm going to call this implement join to group with auto approval. Okay. We can have this. It's not 100% accurate commit, but I'm happy with that. And I think right now we need to display, I'm going to close everything except this. We need to display the users right here, okay? Instead of followers and followings, we are going to have probably users and pending requests. Let's open this view. Okay, instead of followers, I'm going to call these users and requests. We're going to have users and requests here. However, these users and requests tabs should only be visible. The request tab should only be visible if the current user is admin, okay? So the if is current user admin, only in this case they should be visible. The requests here. So it's not going to be visible for Mary, but it is going to be visible for John. Let's go to the vue.js developers page. We're going to see both users and requests. As for the users page, it is not going to be visible, it should not be visible for non-authenticated users, okay? The users needs to be only be visible if the user is joined to a group already. So you should be able to see which other users are joined to a group. So the if, let's create another such type of Boolean computed variable. If role exists, basically, okay, not role. And I think we need to check the status as well. And props group status equals approved is joined to group. Now we're going to add this the if here. If is joined on group, then we're going to see the users tab. So if I'm accessing this as a guest, I don't see this, so I close it. If I'm accessing this as John, obviously I'm going to see that. And then if I'm accessing with Mary, I still should see that, but I don't see it. Why? Is joined to group. If the role exists and status is approved. Okay, let's print what is role and status, because this is weird. Status is pending. Okay, in this case it makes sense. It makes sense. Yes, it is working correctly. So let's remove this pre. And now let's log in again with John. Okay, inside the request, let's take care of these requests. Let's go in the group controller, and we have this profile somewhere at the top, I think. We have this profile page. In this case, we are just returning the group information, but we are going to return users as well, and the requests as well. So I'm thinking right now I can easily just select the users and return, but what about pagination? So if there are multiple users, hundreds of users in the group, are we going to do pagination or load more? At the end of the project, we are going to deploy this on shared hosting using GitHub Actions. As a choice of hosting provider, we're going to use Hostinger, who is very kindly sponsoring this entire project. Hostinger is one of the best shared hosting providers out there. I discovered their services about 3 years ago, and I moved out all my PHP websites from VPS hosting of another hosting provider into Hostinger's shared hosting. There are several great benefits. Very fast and secure servers, full configuration on your PHP versions, extensions, and settings. Nice and modern user interface from which you can manage your domains, DNS, SSL certificates, emails, and much more. Integrated SSH and Git support, affordable prices. And if you are not happy with their services, they also offer 30 days money-back guarantee. Their premium and business hosting includes free domain, support for 100 websites, unlimited number of certificates, and much more. For a full list of features, visit website hostinger.com/thecodeholic or click on the link in the video description. If you decide to grab hosting, during checkout use coupon code TheCodeHolic, which will give you extra 10% off on already discounted price. And thank you Hostinger for sponsoring this entire project. So these are just tabs, they don't affect the URL. So if we have too many users in the group, hundreds of users, we should implement different type of pagination then, which will not be inserted in the URL. Okay. Anyway, no problem. Let's first select the users and then groups, and we're gonna do this from. Now let me think. We already have group selected, so from group I want pending users. If something like this would be available, that would be awesome. So if I go in the group in the same way like we have, why it doesn't open? In the same way we have implemented these admin users, maybe we can have pending users where simply status equals group user status. It should be pending, right? Pending users. And we will need maybe approved users as well. Yeah, let's define it. Approved users, where status is approved. So basically in this case, users will be pending, not pending users, but approved users, and requests will be pending users. So we can just take this both and pass it into the view. Oops. We should pass users, and requests will be requests. Okay. how are we going to display those users and requests? Now I'm thinking about that. Let's start with the users. Okay, I think we have something like user list, users list. Now let's open home page, and we have following list. Okay, and we have following list items, which has this following item. Title, description. I think we can make this generic. Instead of following or follower, we can probably call these user list items, and this can become user list item, which is exactly what I need in this case. So if I just open this following item, and if I just rename this and call user list item, then I will open this following list items, and I will find all the usages of following item and replace it with a user list item in this file. And it starts from the import as well. Okay, replace all. User list user. Okay, I made a mistake. User list item. So then if I go on the home page, the right side should still work. But in this case, if we go, and this user list item, by the way, I think we can remove this from here. No need to have them. This user list item should accept the entire user object, in similar way we did for the group list items. So this should accept the user, which is going to be object. We are going to have user avatar URL, and we're going to have user.name. Okay, then we can delete this from here as well. But from this group view, let's find the define props place, and we have the group, and let's define users to be array and requests to be array as well. Now if we go back, actually we need to find requests section, and we need to iterate over our request. So I'm going to use user list item. I'm going to provide the user to be user, but we need v4 here as well. v4 user of requests. Okay, and we need to bind the user ID as well. Okay, I'm going to duplicate this and put this here, but in this case we're going to iterate over users. And now let's have a look. We see Mary. What about this avatar URL? Is it working? Okay, it is not working because we don't provide the user resource collection right here. This is going to be also user resource collection. Okay, let's remove this user. We have this avatar, by the way, which is broken. And instead of that, if that doesn't exist, we're going to provide the, I'm going to search for this WEBP extension. This is it, default avatar. Okay, I'm going to get this. Okay, it still is broken. Let's try to find out why. I know why. If we go in the user resource, we are immediately returning this no matter if the cover path exists or not. And this is what we're going to check. If the cover path exists, then we're going to return. Otherwise, we're going to return null. And the same should happen for the avatar. Now we see Mary right here. There's only one user. This is me. There is a Mary user, which is right now inside requests. These requests, maybe we need to call these pending requests. Okay. I'm thinking right now I want to test this on relatively large data. Should I create some seeder and put there many users, or how to do this? Let me create second user. Let's provide Zura. Okay, the email was received. Click on that. I got confirmed. Reload. Now I am Zura, and I'm going to access this group Vue.js developers, and I'm going to request to join. Okay, now I log out. I will log in as John, and I will go inside the group and pending requests, and I see two users, Mary and Zura. I want to show these users next to each other. So let's create one div with flex. Actually, I'm going to give it grid, and grid calls to. And then we have these two users here. What if I remove this padding and background as well? And what if I give this BG white on the user card itself? Okay, I'm not going to give it right here, but instead I am going to give it here. Let's move this down. BG white, and on hover we're going to do border indigo 500. This already has some hover effect, which I'm going to change. Let's give it this. It needs to have border and border transparent, maybe. On hover it gets this color, border 2. Let's give it border 2. Okay, let's give it gap 3, and let's give each user, in this case, shadow. Let's make each user rounded as well. Rounded LG. Okay, so these are the requests, and there are not going to be that many requests. On mouse over, we have this effect. However, I don't know why we need this, to be honest. Whenever we click on this, probably we should link this to the profile page of that user. So that should probably be linked. We're going to provide href. We need root, and we'll just provide the profile. Let me open web.php. Profile accepts the username. So we're going to provide user.username. But we need to import this link. Inertia vue.js vue3. And whenever I click on this, it's going to open Mary's profile. Whenever I click on this, it's going to open Zura's profile. Okay, and I'm gonna, in this specific case, I think I don't need this hover effect. We have this BG gray on hover. We have this BG gray 100, which is too much. I also don't want this BG gray 100. BG white, maybe we can leave this BG white. And on hover, if we give it BG gray 50, okay, let's revert this border styling. Let's provide transition all. Okay, this is good. Okay, so I'm gonna put drop down right here, which, or maybe button right here, approve. So this is the div, we have the title. Let's put a button here, primary button approve. Let's give it flex and justify. This is coming from the telescope, which is, by the way, built with Bootstrap. I think we don't need this. Justify between. Flex and justify between. Okay. We have this link. Why do we have, by the way, this parent as well as this? I don't know. But this has flex 1. It should go on a full width. I think it goes. This one doesn't go on a full width. So we need to provide this flex 1. And I'm going to change now this button. Let's give it padding Y1, padding X2. Reduce that button. Can I do that? It is applied. I mean, the padding, my padding Y1 is not working because it already has this padding Y2. Let's leave this as it is. Okay. I can leave this. I'm gonna now listen on click and approve user, and we're gonna accept user here. Actually, I'm gonna emit this. So when I click on this, emit, approve. So let's define emits. We're gonna have approve, and here we need $emit. Now, if we go in the group view, we need to listen to approve, and we are going to call the method approve user. This approve user needs to be defined. And we're going to accept actual user, which needs to be approved. And then we are going to make request like this. Group approve or approve request. Let's open web.php. We have this group join. We have this group approve invitation, but this is different. It is approve request. Now the URL for approve invitation is approve invitation. Here we're going to have approve request. We're going to provide the slug, but we are going to also provide, okay, I'm thinking, maybe we just need to provide the user group ID. No, we need to provide both because we don't have this user group ID. We only have users inside our component. Okay, and we are going to pass that group as we are going to pass, but we're going to pass also the user through post. Okay, so here we're going to have approve request. Let's go inside the controller and define this function. We're going to accept request. We're going to accept group. And first, we're going to check if the current user is admin of this group. If group is admin, we can provide auth ID. If it's not an admin, it means that it doesn't have permission to approve the user. So we're going to return response hold on, response function. We're going to provide you don't have permission. Actually, I think to perform, this is what we need. You don't have permission to perform this action. Otherwise, we're going to find group user, and let me this is the place where we are selecting the group user. So I need this. Here we need auth ID, and here we need the group ID. So we are selecting this group user if, and it should be also pending, right? So where, by the way, yeah, we check this right here. So I was thinking maybe we didn't check status here in this area, but we are checking. So in this case, we need to check the status needs to be group user status pending. Okay, so we are selecting the pending invitation, pending request for not the authenticated user. This is the thing. We need to get the user ID from the request. So request, we are going to validate, and we are just going to get user ID, which is going to be required. Okay, then I am going, this obviously will give me some sort of data. Then I am going to take that user ID from the data, and I'm passing here, I'm passing the group, I'm selecting based on the user ID and the group, the user group. If that doesn't exist, we are going to return some error, some sort of validation error. It is actually not normal if this doesn't exist, okay? We can do it vice versa. If that exists, then the group user status equals group user status approved, and we're gonna save group user save. And whenever we do this, we need to go back. Maybe we just need to call back. Okay, let's just do back without anything. So whenever I click this approve from here, we are gonna pass user ID to be user.id. So we need to pass this ID. Okay, now let's go in the pending request, and I'm gonna click on approve. Okay, something happened. When we click on the approve, it should prevent approve.prevent. It still navigates. Click.prevent and stop. Let's remove this from here. Okay, let's click on approve. We see an error. Reading ID. The user was not passed. We are not passing the user, that's correct. So we need to pass this user from here. Okay, now click on pending requests, and I'm going to click on approve. And that was approved, as you see. And it's going to be available in the user section. Awesome. I think we need to just return with a success message. Approve with success user, whoever. This is going to be this user. By the way, we don't have the name of that user, but we can access this from group user, user name. User Mary was approved, something like this. So in this case, I have another pending request. I'm going to click on approve, and I see the message user Zura was approved, and I see all of them in the users section, which is good. Now let's go in the user section, and I'm going to copy this div grid layout, and I'm going to paste this here. I don't need this approve in this specific case. I need to iterate over my users. So this is how I see it. And let's remove these classes also. So here are all my users, and I need search functionality. If we open following list items, we have this text input. I can get this. I can put this here. This is a search keyword. I'm going to define a ref. Okay. we see this search, and we need to put this in a div, and I'm going to give it margin bottom 3. I can remove this margin top from here. Okay, we have, I think, margin bottom on the group list item as well, which we can remove. And we don't need this approve, obviously. So in this group list item, for approve, which is going to be Boolean, and default needs to be false. It is not for approve. So here, move it if for approve. Now we don't see this approve. If we go in the group view, we are going to pass this for approve true for requests. There are no requests at the moment, which we can also take care of and just write if requests.length, if that exists, we display it. In else case, let's give it also padding y8 and maybe text center. There are no pending requests. And just like this, we have displayed a list of users, which we can, by the way, sort in ascending order, maybe by name. We need to find this profile here. And I'm going to change this into approved users, latest. No, we need order by name, and I'm going to call get. Let's do the same thing for pending users. Okay, we sorted them by something. I have a lot of incognito tabs opened from previous lessons. I need to close them. Okay. Now we see that they are sorted. Cool. When we do this approval process, we should also send the notification to the user that your request basically has been approved. Okay. So that should happen right here. Okay. I'm going to create new notification for this. Request approved. We have invitation approved and we have request approved as well. Now let's open. Let's actually implement. We're going to send this to the user. Where's the user? This is the user. Okay. But wait. Potentially I have bug here. If this group user does not exist, then obviously this will throw an error. What we should probably do is just put this here, and then we just go back without any kind of message. If the group user doesn't exist, it means that user is trying to send some invalid request. Okay, this should not happen. Awesome. So now group user, we get this user, and then on this user we're going to call notify new request approved. We are going to pass group and user. Let's go in the request approved, and we are gonna, I'm gonna get these two properties, paste them here. Let's adjust the message. Your request to join to group whatever, let's say Vue.js developers. This is going to be this group name. Your request to join to group has been approved. Okay, open group, and we can provide root here. This is going to be group.profile, and we're going to provide this group. Okay, good. But what if the request was rejected? I think we haven't covered that. We're sending this right now, which seems to be correct, but I'm going to test this. So what I will do is just log out. Inside email we have one. Okay, now let's create another user. Let's give it John2, john2example.com. Okay, the email was received. I can click and I can, now I'm John2 basically, and let's access these Vue.js developers. Request to join. Request has been accepted. There's an email sent to John that John2 requested to join group Vue.js developers. Now we are going to log in as John, and John will open Vue.js developers, and in the pending requests John will see this. Okay, we need second button as well to simply reject. Okay, this primary button has a lot of classes, and I don't want all of them, so I'm going to create custom class here. Now this is for approve, and let's define for reject. We probably need icons as well, but let's provide classes first. Text extra small, padding y1, padding x2. Let's give it rounded. Then I'm going to have basically different color of buttons, like a BG Emerald 500, for example, and on hover it's going to be BG Emerald 600. Let's save this. Text, that should be XS. And let's provide text white. The second button should have a red instead of emerald. Approve and reject. And I am going to put both of the buttons inside div. And I'm going to define flex and gap 1 between these buttons. Approve and reject. The approve is working correctly. we are emitting approve, but for reject, we need to emit reject. Now, if we go in the view, we need to listen to reject as well. Reject user. Let's duplicate this. We have this new endpoint, reject user. Can I use this same endpoint? Why not? So approve user, inside reject, I'm using this same endpoint, but I'm going to pass the action to be reject. Why do I need to define new endpoint? Reject. And here we're going to provide approve. Then I will go in the group controller, and we have this approve request. And if the group user exists, then we set the status to be approved. We have two cases, pending and approved, but we need rejected as well. Rejected. We need to check what is the action. Action needs to be required. Let me check data action. What is it? If data action equals approved, we're going to provide approved. Else, we're going to provide rejected. We're saving. However, we need to send the proper notification as well. We have here register request approved, but let's rename this class and call, or maybe let's just use it without renaming. Okay, I'm gonna provide third argument right here. If action equals, or let's just create a new variable here, approved equals false. Okay, and I'm going to set approved equals true here. And then I'm going to pass approved. We are going to accept public boolean approved. And then I can use this approved right here. Your request to join to group has been approved or rejected. So we're going to add new word here. If this approved, we need approved. Else, we need rejected. Let's go in the pending request. We see approve and reject. I can click on reject. The message still says that it has been approved, but in the notifications, I received that request approved. This is incorrect. Request has been rejected. Let's provide subject. Request was either approved or rejected. Let's take this as a new variable called action. Action equals approved or rejected. Request was action. Let's check the group users. We see this is a rejected. Let's change this into pending. Let's reload the page. Let's go right here. I'm going to also change the message returned. Here we need if approved, then approved. Else, rejected. Okay, now I click on reject and I see user 2 was rejected. and it is not going to be displayed right here, because here we only display pending, not pending, but approved users. But if I go and set this into pending again, it should be pending, reload, click on approve, we see that it is still rejected. Why it is rejected? I think it's called approve. It should be called approve. Pending. And now we see that the user was approved. If we go in the user section, we see this John 2 here as well. Your support is the most important thing for me. So the single best thing what you can do right now is to pause the video, hit the subscribe and the like button, and continue watching. I would really appreciate. Thank you. Okay, I think this is good. I want to add some padding to each element. Maybe this one and the border T as well. So let's search for this on the group. We see that. Let's give it padding of 4, and there is below another element on which I'm going to give also padding 4, but padding top should be 0. I don't see that. I'm going to put this in another div, and I'm going to give it padding 4, because inside we have position absolute elements and they were still stretched. Now this is correct. And this notification should go inside. But it should not have also padding top should be 0. Let's give it only padding X. Okay, so we have implemented displaying the users here, having that possibility to approve or reject users. And yeah, I think this lesson is actually completed.